The cold stone floor of the servants' passage is an unwelcome morning greeting against my bare feet. It's a familiar chill, one that sinks into my bones and reminds me of my place. Here, in the heart of the great Lycan kingdom, I am less than nothing. A shadow flitting through the castle's arteries, seen only when I am needed, forgotten the moment I turn away. I am Ilara, and I am wolfless. In a world defined by the beast within, I am an empty vessel, a flaw in the otherwise perfect tapestry of our people. My duties are simple. I clean, I fetch, I serve. Today, the palace hums with an electric tension it hasn't felt in a decade. It is the day of the sovereign's summons, when our Alpha King, Lycan Kalin, will address the packs from the Great Hall. Banners bearing the royal crest, a snarling wolf's head crowned with winter thorns, hang from every archway. The air is thick with the competing scents of hundreds of powerful werewolves, a dizzying miasma of pine, earth, river stone, and territorial musk. I try to make myself smaller, to keep my head down and my scent, a bland, human-like thing of chamomile and obedience, as muted as possible. My own scent is a source of constant shame. It lacks the rich, wild undertones that mark every other person here. It's the scent of my deficiency. While others can taste the air and know the mood of a room, I am mostly blind. I can smell the basics, the roasting boar in the kitchens, the beeswax candles being lit in the great hall. But the complex language of our kind is a whisper I can never quite hear. I feel the absence of my wolf like a phantom limb, a hollow space in my soul where a fierce, proud creature should be. The elders say some are born this way, a cosmic mistake. They call us the unfilled. It is a kinder word than wolfless, but it feels the same, empty. Ilara, more wine for the Alpha's table. The voice of the head housekeeper, a stern she-wolf named Greta, cracks through the din. I nod, curtsying low and hurry toward the kitchens. My hands are steady as I lift the heavy silver ewer, but my heart is a frantic drum against my ribs. The summons means I will be in the same room as him, the king, Alpha of Alphas. Kalin is more myth than man to someone like me. I have only ever seen him from a distance, a figure of breathtaking power and authority on the throne, his presence a physical weight that presses down on the very air. They say his wolf is a living legend, a war beast of unparalleled size and ferocity, the direct descendant of the first Alpha. Entering the Great Hall is like stepping into the heart of a storm. The sheer force of so many dominant wolves is a physical pressure. I keep my eyes glued to the stone floor, navigating the forest of powerful legs and fur-lined cloaks. The scent is overwhelming now, a tidal wave of aggression, pride, and anticipation. I reach the head table, my movements practiced and silent. I begin to pour the deep red wine into the king's goblet, my focus absolute. Do not spill. Do not draw attention. Do not exist. But the universe has other plans. As I lean forward, a minor noble jostles me from behind. My arm bumps the table. A few drops of wine splash onto the pristine white tablecloth near the king's hand. I freeze, my blood turning to ice. A gasp escapes my lips, small but damningly loud in the sudden lull of conversation. Every head at the high table turns toward me, and then his eyes lift and meet mine. It is not a glance. It is a cataclysm. The world fractures. Time ceases to exist. The cacophony of the great hall vanishes, replaced by a deafening roar that is not sound, but sensation. It rips through me, from the crown of my head to the soles of my feet. A scent, more powerful and intoxicating than anything I have ever known, slams into me. It is the smell of a looming winter storm, of ancient pine forests heavy with snow, of crackling ozone before a lightning strike. It is the scent of him, of my mate. The hollow space inside me, the void where my wolf should be, ignites. It doesn't fill, but it burns. A searing, agonizing fire of recognition. Hope, so fierce and blinding it feels like pain, explodes in my chest. Me? A wolfless Omega, a servant, the mate to the Alpha King? It is impossible. A cruel joke. Yet the truth of it is branded on my soul in that single, shattering moment. Across the table, King Kalen has gone rigid. His knuckles are white where he grips the arm of his throne-like chair. His eyes, the color of molten gold, are wide with a feral shock that mirrors my own. I can feel his war beast, a tangible presence even from here, rising to the surface, its ancient, possessive roar echoing the one in my soul. Mine. The word is not a thought. It is a primal certainty that crashes through me. The silence in the hall becomes absolute. Everyone is staring. They can all feel it. The air crackles with the raw power of a newly snapped mate bond. A murmur ripples through the crowd, a wave of disbelief and shock. The king's mate has been found, and she is me, a servant, wolfless. Kalen rises slowly from his chair. He is a mountain of a man, broad-shouldered and radiating an aura of command that demands obedience. His eyes never leave mine. They are filled with a maelstrom of emotions I cannot decipher. Shock, fury, and something else. Something that looks terrifyingly like conflict. "Step forward," he commands. His voice is a low growl, a rumble of thunder that vibrates through the floor and up my legs. My body moves without my permission, drawn by the irresistible pull of the bond. I walk around the table until I stand before him in the open space, the eyes of every powerful wolf in the kingdom burning into my skin. I feel naked, exposed, my simple servant's dress a pathetic shield against their scrutiny. I force myself to lift my chin, to meet his gaze, even as my entire body trembles. For one wild, breathless second, I let the impossible hope bloom. Maybe this doesn't matter. Maybe the bond is enough. He closes the distance between us in two long strides. He stands so close, I can feel the heat radiating from his body. He lowers his head, his face hovering near the curve of my neck. I hold my breath. This is the claiming, the traditional acceptance. He inhales, his breath ghosting over my skin, and the bond between us sings, a beautiful, vibrant chord of destiny. He smells my scent, the plain, wolfless scent of chamomile in me, and then everything shatters. He jerks back as if he's been burned. The look in his eyes is no longer conflicted. It is pure, cold disgust. The nascent warmth of the bond turns to ice. He looks at me, truly looks at me, and sees not his mate, but a flaw, an inadequacy, a stain on his legacy. "No," he says, the word a blade of ice. He turns, not just to me, but to the entire hall, his voice ringing with the absolute power of the Alpha King. The moon goddess plays a cruel jest. He looks back at me, his handsome face a mask of granite. This kingdom requires a strong Luna, a she-wolf of power and standing, with a beast worthy of standing beside mine. It requires a queen who can bear true alpha heirs. His golden eyes sweep over my pathetic form with clinical disdain. You are nothing, a wolfless omega, an empty shell. You are not fit to be the mate of a common pack warrior, let alone a king. Each word is a physical blow. The hope in my chest withers and dies, turning to ash. the vibrant chord of the Bond phrase, its beautiful music turning into a discordant shriek of agony. I can feel it tearing. The crowd is silent, watching this brutal execution of a soul. I want to run, to hide, but my feet are rooted to the spot. I can do nothing but stand there and absorb the humiliation, the pain. He raises his hand, silencing the whispers that have begun to break out. His gaze is merciless. I will not doom my lineage and my kingdom to weakness because of a celestial mistake. His voice drops, becoming formal, laced with the ancient magic of his authority. It is the language of law, the language of finality. I, Alpha King Kalin, in the sight of the assembled packs and under the witness of the moon goddess herself, hereby reject you, Ilara of No Pack, as my mate and my Luna. The words hit me with the force of a physical expulsion. A scream of pure agony is ripped from my throat as the bond, the beautiful sacred thing that had flared to life only moments before, is violently severed. It is not a clean cut. It is a jagged, brutal tearing of soul from soul. The pain is blinding, a white-hot fire that consumes every nerve in my body. It drops me to my knees. I clutch my chest, my heart feeling as if it has been physically ripped from my body. The scent of pine and winter storm is gone, replaced by the acrid smell of burning, of death, of absolute rejection. Through the haze of my agony, I hear him speak again, his voice cold and distant. Remove her from my sight. Cast her out of the city. She is no one. She belongs nowhere. Rough hands seize my arms, hauling me to my feet. I am too broken to resist. My legs won't hold me, and I am dragged, my bare feet scraping against the cold stone. The last thing I see before they pull me from the great hall is his face. There is no remorse, no pity, only the hard, unyielding certainty of a king who has just excised a tumor from his kingdom. The doors slam shut behind me, plunging me into the shadows of the corridor and the beginning of a pain I do not think I can survive. They do not even give me time to gather my meager belongings. The two guards drag me through the servants' corridors and out a small postern gate in the city's outer wall. They shove me forward, and I stumble, falling onto the dirt track that leads into the darkening woods. The king's orders, one of them grunts, his voice devoid of any emotion. You are banished. If you are seen within the city walls again, you will be executed. Then they turn and leave, the heavy gate groaning shut with a sound of utter finality. I am alone. The chill of the evening air seeps through my thin servant's dress. The physical pain of the broken bond is a roaring inferno in my chest, so intense it steals my breath. Every instinct screams at me to go back, to beg, to plead. The mate bond, even shattered, has a gravitational pull. My very soul yearns to be near him, even if he is the source of my torment. But my human mind knows it is a death sentence. I press a hand to my chest. Over the source of the agony, it feels like a gaping, bleeding wound. I can feel the ragged edges of my soul where he ripped his away. There is a cold emptiness now, a void far worse than the one I lived with before. Before, it was the quiet absence of something I'd never had. Now, it is the violent amputation of something I had held for a single, glorious moment. Night falls completely. The sounds of the forest press in around me. The snap of a twig, the hoot of an owl, the distant howl of a wild wolf. Fear, cold and sharp, cuts through the fog of my pain. I am a wolfless woman, alone and unprotected in a wilderness full of predators. I am the weakest thing out here. An easy meal. I force myself to my feet. my body shaking uncontrollably from cold and shock. I have to move. I don't know where I'm going, only that I must get away from the city, away from him. I stumble into the trees, my bare feet catching on roots and sharp stones. Tears stream down my face, freezing in the cold air, but I make no sound. The scream I let out in the great hall has taken my voice. All that is left is this silent, all-consuming agony. Days bleed into nights. I lose track of time. I walk until my feet are raw and bleeding, then I crawl. I drink from streams, the cold water a brief shock that does little to numb the fire inside me. I find wild berries, my stomach cramping from hunger. The pain in my chest never subsides. It is a constant, living thing, a parasite feeding on my life force. At night, I curl into a hollow log or under the branches of a fir tree, shivering, waiting for the sun. I dream of him. I dream of golden eyes filled with disgust and the scent of a winter storm I can never touch again. I am dying. I know it. The rejection is killing me. Shifters can and do die from a broken bond, especially one so violently and publicly severed. My body grows weaker, my mind foggier. Part of me welcomes it. An end to this unbearable suffering. One evening, curled beneath a rocky overhang as a cold rain begins to fall, I hit my lowest point. My body is failing. The hunger is a dull ache beneath the sharper torment of the bond scar. I am shivering so hard my teeth ache. This is it. This is where I die. Alone, forgotten, a piece of refuse thrown out by a king. His words echo in my mind. You are nothing, an empty shell. He was right. But as I lie there waiting for the end, something shifts within me. A tiny, stubborn ember of defiance flickers to life in the frozen landscape of my despair. No, I am not nothing. I am Ilara. Before he looked at me, before the bond snapped into place, I existed. I survived 20 years of being wolfless, of being an outcast. I endured the pity and the scorn. I had a life, small and insignificant as it was. He does not get to be the end of it. He does not get to erase me. The thought is a revelation. It is a spark in the darkness. I will not die for the man who humiliated me. I will not give him the satisfaction of my demise. My death will not be a footnote in his glorious reign. A new resolve, fragile but fierce, takes root in my heart. I will live. I don't know how. I don't know for what. But I will live out of pure, unadulterated spite. I will live to prove him wrong. I am not nothing. As this decision solidifies in my mind, a strange warmth spreads through my chest, originating from that hollow place where my wolf should have been. It's not the searing fire of the bond, but something else, something deeper, older, a gentle, pulsing heat that pushes back against the cold. It's faint, barely there, but it's the first thing, besides pain, I have felt in days. It's a flicker of dormant power, a deep, hidden wellspring that has been stirred by my will to survive. For the first time since my exile, a genuine feeling, one that is truly my own, rises up. It is anger, and it feels like coming home. Months bleed into a year, then two. The wilderness becomes my home, its harshness my teacher. The initial, all-consuming agony of the rejection dulls into a constant, aching scar over my heart. It is a cold spot that never fully warms, a phantom pain that reminds me of what I lost, but it no longer paralyzes me. My anger becomes my shield, my spite my fuel. I learn to survive. I fashion crude snares to catch rabbits, my hands growing calloused and capable. I learn which plants are edible and which are poison. I teach myself to move silently through the undergrowth, my senses deprived of a wolf's keenness, sharpening out of sheer necessity. I grow strong, my body honed by hardship into something lean and resilient. The soft, pale servant girl is gone, burned away by suffering and resolve. In her place is a woman made of sinew and scars. Eventually, I find my way to the furthest edge of Kalen's kingdom, a rugged, mountainous region that borders the lands of the Silverwood Pack. Here, nestled in a remote valley, is a small, independent settlement of shifters and humans who, for one reason or another, live outside the strict hierarchy of the packs. They are trappers, woodcutters, and outcasts. They don't ask for my story, and I don't offer it. They see the hardness in my eyes and the way I carry myself, and they give me a wide berth. For a few coins, a trapper lets me use a derelict one-room cabin on the edge of the woods. It is more than I have had in years. I spend my days working, chopping wood, and selling pelts in the village, saving every coin. I spend my nights training. I teach myself to fight with a knife, then a short sword I buy from a traveling merchant. I am not a shifter. I do not have their strength or speed, so I must be smarter, faster, and more ruthless. I practice until my muscles scream and my hands bleed, driven by the memory of my own powerlessness. Never again will I be helpless. Never again will I be at the mercy of another. The strange warmth inside me grows, a quiet companion in my solitude. It pulses strongest on the nights of the full moon. While other shifters are running with their packs, I am drawn deep into the forest. I feel a pull toward the silver light, a strange kinship with the silent, watching moon. The warmth in my chest blossoms on these nights, a soft, internal luminescence that soothes the ever-present ache of the bond scar. I don't understand it, but I don't fear it. It is mine. It is the only thing that is. One night, during the highest point of the hunter's moon, the whispers of the past find me. I am tracking a deer when the scent of stale blood and rank fur hits me. A rogue, a wolf driven mad by isolation, cast out from its pack for unforgivable crimes. They are notoriously violent and unpredictable. It bursts from the trees before I can draw my sword, a massive, mangy beast with crazed red eyes. It is all teeth and claws, lunging for my throat. I throw myself back, my knife coming up in a desperate block. Its jaws snap shut inches from my face, its foul breath washing over me. Its weight is immense, pinning me to the forest floor. Its strength is overwhelming. This is a fight I cannot win. As its claws tear into my shoulder, a flare of hot pain erupts, and something inside me snaps. The terror, the desperation, and years of suppressed rage ignite. The gentle warmth in my chest explodes into a supernova. It is not the familiar rage of a cornered animal. It is something ancient and celestial. No, the word echoes in the deepest part of my being, a voice that is mine, but also more than mine. It is a voice of absolute authority. Light, pure and silver as the moon above, erupts from my body. It is not a fire. It is a wave of cold, silent power. The rogue is thrown back as if struck by lightning, howling in pain and confusion. It scrambles to its feet, its crazed eyes now wide with terror. I rise slowly, my body thrumming with an energy I have never known. The wound on my shoulder knits itself closed, the skin leaving behind a faint, silvery scar. The air around me grows cold, shimmering with moonlight. My shadow on the ground is not my own. It is larger, wilder, with the faint outline of a great wolf, its head crowned with what looks like liquid starlight. The rogue whimpers, its primal instinct screaming at it that it is facing something far older and more powerful than any alpha. It turns and flees, its tail tucked between its legs, a terrified creature escaping a goddess. I stand alone in the moon-drenched clearing, my breath coming in shaky gasps. I lift my hands. They are glowing with a soft, silver light. I look up at the moon, and for the first time, I feel not just a kinship, but a connection. A direct line of power flowing from it into me. The hollow place inside me is no longer hollow. It is filled to overflowing with this cold, silver fire. My inner beast, the one I thought I never had, finally awakens. It is not the familiar earthy presence of a normal wolf. It is vast, silent, and powerful, like the night sky itself. It is a lunar wolf. The truth settles over me with the weight of a mountain. I am not wolfless. I have the blood of the ancients, a lineage thought to be extinct for 1,000 years. Lunar wolves were the first shifters, born of the moon itself, their power not of the earth, but of the cosmos. They were matriarchs, queens, their power eclipsing that of any alpha. And I am one of them. My entire life has been a lie. My weakness was not a flaw. It was a dormancy. Kalen didn't reject me for being nothing. He rejected me because he was too blind to see what I truly was. A quiet, dangerous laugh escapes my lips. It is the first time I have laughed in years. It is not a sound of joy, but of terrible, exquisite irony. The king, so obsessed with a powerful mate, threw away the most powerful of them all, and now she is his to regret. I begin to hone this newfound power in secret. The forest becomes my training ground, the moon my mentor. I learn to draw its light into myself, to weave it into shields of solid energy, to unleash it in waves of concussive force. I learn to heal, to sense living things around me with a clarity that surpasses any wolf's. My lunar wolf, a silent, watchful presence I name Selene, guides me. She does not speak in primal urges like a normal beast. Her consciousness is woven with mine, her thoughts cool, ancient, and patient. Patience, she seems to whisper in my soul. Our time will come. My new status settles upon me, not like a crown, but like a mantle of quiet certainty. I no longer feel like an outcast. I am simply a part. I carry a secret that sets me above the petty hierarchies that once defined my existence. The villagers notice the change, the way I walk, the unnerving stillness in my gaze. They give me even more space now, their respect tinged with a new kind of fear. They do not know what I am, only that I am not to be trifled with. I have gone from begging for belonging to commanding a wide berth, and the power in that is a heady tonic. I am no longer Alara the Wolfless. I am something new, forged in rejection and reborn in moonlight, and I am waiting. The scent of lilies and starlight haunts my every waking moment. It is a ghost in my throne room, a phantom in my bed. 2 years have passed since I cast her out, and the stain of her memory has only deepened. I am King Lycan Kalen, and I am being eaten alive from the inside out. My beast, the war beast that has been the pride of my bloodline for generations, has turned on me. It is a constant, raging torment. A snarling, clawing monster caged behind my ribs. It paces relentlessly, roaring its fury and its loss. Hours, it snarls, the word a spike of pain in my mind. You threw away OURS. You broke us. You are weak, unworthy. Sleep offers no escape. I am plagued by nightmares. I see her face, the shock and hope giving way to unbearable agony as I speak the words of rejection. I feel the bond sever again and again, a fresh, soul-tearing agony each time. I wake up roaring, the sheets of my bed shredded, my knuckles raw from punching the stone walls. My guards have learned to stay away from my chambers at night. I thought I was being strong. I thought I was making the hard choice for my kingdom. A wolfless Luna was a vulnerability I could not afford. My council had praised my resolve, my foresight, but I was a fool, a proud, arrogant fool. I didn't listen to my beast. I listened to the whispers of duty and pride, and in doing so, I committed the greatest sin a lichen can. I denied my own soul. The consequences are not just internal. The kingdom feels my weakness. Our borders are being tested by rogues and feral creatures in greater numbers. The harvests have been poor. The packs are restless, sensing the imbalance at the heart of the kingdom. An unmated, broken alpha king is a beacon of instability. My war beast, the very symbol of my strength, is now a source of my decline. Its rage makes me volatile. Its sorrow makes me distracted. I am a lesser king than I was 2 years ago. I am a lesser man. I have tried to move on. My council has presented me with a dozen high-born she-wolves, all beautiful, powerful, and ambitious. Their scents are pleasing enough. Rose, pine, rich, earth. But to my beast, they are nothing. He recoils from them, snarling his disgust. Not her. Not mate. The scent of chamomile, and something more, something I now know was starlight, is the only thing my soul will recognize. I am ruined for any other. I am bound to a ghost. One evening, my beta, an old, wise wolf named Marcus, finds me staring out over the city from my balcony. The air is cold, but I don't feel it. He is punishing you still, Marcus says quietly, not a question. I don't have to ask who he means. He wants what I threw away, I growl, my voice rough. He wants his other half, Marcus corrects gently, as does yours. An alpha is not whole without his Luna, Kalen. Your beast knows this. It is a law of nature more ancient than any throne. She was wolfless, I snap, the old justification tasting like ash in my mouth. She was a servant. And was your kingdom worth the price of your soul? He asks. His question is quiet, but it lands with the force of a hammer blow. I have no answer. I turn away from him, gripping the stone balustrade until my knuckles turn white. The truth is a bitter pill. It was not worth it. Nothing is. News from the outer territories brings a new complication. A kind of creeping rot is spreading from the Shadowlands, a blighted, dead part of the continent. They call them Shadow Weavers, creatures of nightmare that seem to be made of living darkness. They drain the life from the land and the magic from our people. They are drawn to power, and reports say they are moving slowly but surely toward the heart of the kingdom, toward me. It is during this time of rising dread that Alpha Rorik of the Silverwood Pack requests an audience. His lands border the wild northern mountains, the first line of defense against whatever comes out of the wilderness. He is young, but respected, known for being level-headed and honorable. When he arrives, however, it is not the Shadow Weavers he speaks of first. It is a woman. I have offered sanctuary to a lone female who has been living on the borders of my territory, he says, his gaze steady. She is remarkable, powerful. She single-handedly drove off a rogue that was terrorizing a local village. I lean forward, intrigued despite myself. A powerful lone female is a rarity. What is her name? She does not offer one freely, Rorik says. The villagers call her the Lunar Witch. She seems to command the light of the moon itself. I have never seen power like it. My beast, for the first time in months, stills its pacing. A flicker of something other than rage stirs within me. Curiosity? She lives under my protection now, Rorik continues, a hint of possessiveness in his tone that I instantly dislike. I came to inform you because her power is significant. It could be a great asset in the coming darkness. And because I intend to make her my Luna. The air in my throne room freezes. My beast lets out a low, guttural growl that I can barely contain. My hands clench into fists. An irrational, white-hot jealousy rips through me. It makes no sense. This woman is a stranger. But the thought of this calm, honorable alpha claiming a powerful, mysterious mate sends a shockwave of fury through my broken soul. It is a reminder of what I could have had, of the partnership I destroyed. You are bold to claim a witch of unknown origin as your Luna, I say, my voice dangerously soft. Rorik does not flinch. I know what I see, Your Majesty. I see strength. I see a survivor. I see a queen. His words mock me. He sees a queen in some wild witch, while I saw nothing in my own mate. The irony is so bitter it chokes me. I dismiss him, my mind reeling. A lunar witch, a woman of incredible power, found in the very wilderness to which I banished my own mate. The coincidence is too great to ignore. But it cannot be. She was wolfless. She was nothing. Wasn't she? The attacks from the Shadow Weavers escalate. They are no longer whispers and rumors, but a tangible threat, their blighted corruption spreading like a disease across the northern territories. They overwhelm a border patrol, and the lone survivor's report is chilling. The creatures are fast, silent, and they feed on the life force of shifters, leaving behind nothing but desiccated husks. They are drawn to the inner wolf, the beast within, like moths to a flame. Silverwood is the first to suffer a major assault. A horde of these shadow creatures swarms the main settlement under the cover of a new moon. Panic spreads through the kingdom. I am preparing to send my legions when a second messenger arrives from Rorik's territory. They clamor for me to bring her to the capital, to bind her to our cause. Their words are a drumbeat of necessity, but in my chest, a different, more personal storm is brewing. A desperate, terrifying hope is clawing its way through the wreckage of my soul. Lunar, moon, the scent of starlight. It cannot be. It simply cannot. Bring her to me, I command, my voice hoarse, by force, if necessary. I will see this witch for myself. I ignore the flicker of pain from my beast, the low growl that warns me I am treading on sacred broken ground. My royal guard, the most elite warriors in the kingdom, ride for Silverwood. They return a week later. They are not leading a supplicant. They are escorting a captive. She is brought into the great hall in silver chains, the metal specially forged to inhibit magic. The hall is the same as it was 2 years ago, filled with the same powerful alphas and betas. But the woman who walks between my guards is not the same. She is not the trembling, terrified servant I cast away. This woman is terrifying in her stillness. Her simple leather tunic and trousers are worn, but practical. Her dark hair is braided back, revealing a face that is all sharp angles and unforgiving planes. Her eyes, the same shade of deep violet I remember from my nightmares, are not filled with fear. They are chips of ice, cold and utterly devoid of emotion. She carries herself not like a prisoner, but like a queen surveying a room of lesser beings. Section, she is beautiful, not in the soft, pleasing way of the court ladies, but in a harsh, breathtaking way, like a winter storm or a perfectly forged blade. She is power, I can feel it coming off her in waves, a cool, celestial energy that makes the air around her hum. My counsel murmurs, awed by the sheer presence of her. I sit on my throne, my heart hammering against my ribs. It is not her. It cannot be. And then she lifts her head, her eyes sweeping the room before they land on me, and the scent hits me. It is not the simple chamomile I remember. That is still there, a faint, clean undertone. But it is wrapped in, consumed by, an intoxicating fragrance of night-blooming lilies and pure, cold starlight. It is the ghost scent that has haunted me, now made real and 1,000 times more potent. The world narrows to the space between us. The broken, ragged edges of the mate bond inside me scream. They strain toward her, a raw, desperate yearning that is pure agony. My war beast bellows in my head, a sound of pure, triumphant recognition. Ours. She is here. Mate, ours. It is her, Ilara. The shock is a physical blow. I half rise from my throne, a strangled sound caught in my throat. The wolfless servant I threw away is standing before me, radiating more power than anyone in this room, myself included. The irony is so profound, so devastating. It steals the breath from my lungs. Her eyes meet mine. There is no shock in them, no pain, only a vast, empty coldness that chills me to my very soul. She remembers me, and she feels nothing. So, she says, her voice low and smooth, yet carrying to every corner of the silent hall. The great Alpha King requires a witch. There is no deference in her tone, only a faint, cutting mockery. I find my voice, though it is rough with a storm of emotions I cannot control. You are the one they call the Lunar Witch? I have been called many things, she replies, her gaze unwavering. Nothing. Empty shell. Which name do you prefer, Your Majesty? The verbal blow lands perfectly. A stiletto of her own words slid neatly between my ribs. A wave of shame, so hot its dizzying washes over me. The assembled alphas shift uncomfortably, sensing the deep, dangerous history that crackles in the air between us. I try to regain control, to reassert my authority. I am the king. She is my prisoner. I draw on the power of my alpha command, the force of will that can bring lesser wolves to their knees. You will answer me, I growl, pushing my power toward her. I expect her to flinch, to lower her eyes, to show some sign of submission. She does not. She simply stands there, the force of my command washing over her like water over a stone. It has no effect. The cold smile that touches her lips is the most terrifying thing I have ever seen. Your commands have no power over me, Kaelin, she says, using my name with a familiarity that is both intimate and insulting. You gave up that right 2 years ago on this very floor. The power dynamic has been completely, irrevocably inverted. She is in my chains, in my hall, surrounded by my warriors. And yet, it is I who feels trapped. It is I who feels powerless. The regret that has been my constant companion for 2 years crystallizes into a desperate, frantic hunger. I want her. Not just her power for the war, but her. Her forgiveness. Her presence. I want my mate back. But as I look into her cold, violet eyes, I see a devastating truth. The woman I need is not the girl I threw away, and winning her back will be a war far more difficult than the one against the shadows. It may, in fact, be impossible. She is a weapon I desperately need to save my kingdom. But the alliance I must forge is not with a witch, but with the woman whose soul I tried to destroy. The threat of the Shadow Weavers forces a terrible proximity upon us. They are advancing, their corruption spreading. I need her power, and she knows it. This gives her all the leverage. I have her moved from the dungeons to a set of lavish chambers near my own, the silver chains removed. It is a gesture of goodwill she meets with chilling indifference. She treats the luxurious rooms like a more comfortable cage, nothing more. Every conversation is a battle of wills. I try to speak of the war, of the alliance we must form. She deflects, her answers clipped, her gaze distant. She is a fortress, and I have no way to breach the walls. My people are dying, I say to her one evening, frustration making my voice raw. We are in the war room, a massive map of the kingdom spread between us. Your power could save them. Your people, she says, her voice soft. She taps a finger on the map on the spot where the capital city, Lycanos, is marked. The people who watched you destroy me and did nothing. The people who looked at me with pity and disgust. Why should I save them? They are innocent in what passed between us, I argue, my desperation growing. Were they? She counters, her eyes finally flashing with a spark of heat. They are your pack. They follow your lead. Your cruelty became their consensus. Their silence was their complicity. They are not my people. She is right. The shame burns deeper. I have no argument against her truth. My kingdom is threatened because of my sin, and she is under no obligation to grant us salvation. Days turn into a week. The reports from the north grow more dire. A whole town has gone silent, consumed by the shadow. The weavers are learning, adapting. They will be at the capital's gates within a fortnight. My council is on the verge of panic. They demand I force her, command her. They do not understand that I cannot. I finally break. I find her on the balcony of her chambers, staring up at the waxing moon. The silver light seems to cling to her, making her skin glow. She looks ethereal, untouchable. Ilara, I say, my voice barely a whisper. She doesn't turn. Have you come to issue more commands that will not be obeyed? No, I say, my voice cracking. I have come to beg. That gets her attention. She turns slowly, her expression unreadable in the moonlight. I cannot stand it anymore. The guilt, the regret, the desperate, aching need. It all comes pouring out. I tell her everything. I tell her of the 2 years of torment, of my beast's constant rage, of the nightmares. I tell her how the scent of her has haunted me, how my soul has been empty without her. I make no excuses. I do not blame duty or my counsel. I was a fool, I say, my voice thick with unshed tears. I was arrogant, and I was weak. I saw your powerlessness as a flaw in you, when the true flaw was my own blindness. I was so afraid of not having a strong Luna that I threw away the strongest soul I have ever known. I broke the most sacred law of our kind. I broke you, and I broke myself in the process. I take a step closer, my hands open at my sides in a gesture of supplication. I am not asking for your help for my kingdom. I am asking for me. Help me save them, so that I may have a chance, however small, to spend the rest of my life trying to earn your forgiveness. She watches me, her violet eyes searching my face. The icy mask is gone, replaced by a deep, weary sadness. I have finally reached the woman beneath the warrior. Before she can speak, a commotion erupts from the courtyard below. Guards are shouting. I look down to see a contingent of warriors bearing the sigil of the Silverwood Pack. At their head is Alpha Rorik, his face set like thunder. I have come for my Luna, he bellows, his voice carrying clearly up to the balcony. Rorik is brought to the throne room, but he is not cowed. He stands before me, his fury a palpable force. You had no right, he snarls. She was under my protection. You will release her to me, now. She is here to help fight a war that threatens us all, I counter, my own alpha rising to meet his challenge. The jealousy from our first meeting returns, hot and possessive. She is not your Luna. Not yet, Rorik says, his gaze unwavering. But I have offered, an offer of respect and honor, unlike you. The truth of his words is another blow. Ilara enters the throne room then, silent as a wraith. She stands between us, a point of stillness in the swirling vortex of our anger. Rorik's face softens when he looks at her. Ilara, come home with me. You do not owe this man, or his kingdom, anything. Silverwood will be your home. I will be your shield. I will make you my queen, and our pack will honor you. It is a genuine, heartfelt offer. He is everything I was not. Kind, patient, respectful. He represents safety. He represents a life free from the pain of our shared past. He is the logical choice. My heart seizes in my chest. I have no right to ask her to stay. No right to compete with this good man's honorable offer. I must give her the choice. It is the only way. He is right, I say, the words costing me everything. You owe me nothing. If you wish to go with him, I will not stop you. You are free. Ilara looks at Rorik, and for the first time, I see a flicker of warmth in her eyes. Gratitude. She owes him a great deal. He gave her sanctuary when she had none. He saw her worth when I saw nothing. She turns to him, and in that moment, I prepare for the final, killing blow. I prepare for her to walk away and leave me in the darkness I created for myself. She reaches out and gently touches Rorik's arm. You are a good man, Rorik, she says, her voice soft. You were kind to me when the world was cruel. You offered me a home and your respect. I will never forget that. Rorik's hope is plain on his face. But I cannot be your Luna, she continues gently. My path is here. My fight is here. She touches her own chest right over the bond scar. And my fate, for better or worse, is tied to his. Rorik looks from her face to mine. He is an alpha. He can feel the shattered, chaotic energy of the mate bond that still exists between us, a tangled wreck of destiny that refuses to be denied. He sees the truth in her eyes, the truth that even after everything, she is still bound to me. His shoulders slump in acceptance, but his dignity remains intact. I see, he says quietly. He looks at her, his expression full of a sad respect. I will not ask you to be a second choice to a ghost, Ilara. And I see now that this bond, even broken, is more real than anything I could offer. He straightens, his gaze firm. I cannot compete with fate. He turns to me, his animosity gone, replaced by a grim understanding. But know this, Kaelin. She is not a weapon to be used. She is a queen to be earned. If you hurt her again, my quarrel will not be with the Shadow Weavers. It will be with you. He bows his head, not to me, but to her. The Silverwood Pack owes you a life debt. My warriors are yours to command, Lady Ilara, not his. With that, he turns and strides from the throne room, his head held high. He has exited the story of our lives, but he has done so with grace, leaving behind a final, powerful lesson. He has just given her an army. He has solidified her power base, independent of me. She is not my ally. I am hers. The Shadow Weavers do not wait for us to be ready. They come with the dark of the moon, a tide of living nightmare that crashes against the outer walls of Lycanos. The city's warning horns blare, a mournful, desperate sound that echoes in the unnatural silence of the creature's advance. There is no war cry, no drumming, only the whisper of 1,000 grasping, smoky tendrils. The battle is chaos. My warriors fight with the courage of cornered wolves, their claws and teeth tearing at the smoky forms of the weavers. But for everyone they tear apart, two more seem to rise from the shadows. The creatures latch onto my men, their touch draining life and spirit, leaving soldiers gasping and collapsing, their inner wolves silenced. I fight at the forefront, my war beast unleashed. I am a whirlwind of claws and fury, tearing through the enemy ranks. But it's like fighting the tide. The sheer number of them is overwhelming. We are losing. Then she appears. Ilara moves on to the battlements, and it is as if the moon has descended to walk among us. She is a beacon in the oppressive darkness, her body glowing with a soft, silver luminescence. She does not shout or roar. She raises her hands, and the battle changes. A massive dome of shimmering moonlight explodes outward from her, covering the entire front line. The shadow weavers that touch it dissolve into black dust with silent screams. A cheer goes up from my men, a sound of raw hope. Ilara moves along the wall, a general commanding a force they cannot see. She conjures spears of light that pierce the thickest knots of enemies. She weaves shields that protect faltering warriors. She mends grievous wounds with a touch of her glowing hands. Parawar, she is magnificent. She is terrible. She is everything I threw away. Watching her, my heart is a painful mix of awe, pride, and the most profound regret I have ever known. We fight for hours, a grim, bloody ballet under the stars. I lead the physical assault on the ground. She provides the celestial artillery from above. We are a devastating team. We are what we were always meant to be. But the enemy has a leader. A larger, more substantial creature of darkness emerges from the horde. It is vaguely wolf-like in shape, but massive, with burning red eyes that fixate on Ilara. This is the Shadow Lord. It ignores the battle around it and flows up the wall of the citadel with unnatural speed. Its goal singular and obvious. It wants to consume the source of the light. I see its intent and my blood runs cold. Ilara! I roar, fighting my way back toward the wall. She turns to face the new threat, her expression grim. She raises a shield of solid light, but the Shadow Lord slams into it with a force that makes the entire wall shudder. Cracks appear in her shield. This creature is far more powerful than the others. It is pure, ancient hunger. It strikes again, and her shield shatters. The backlash sends her stumbling back. The Shadow Lord rears up, its form coalescing into a sharp, obsidian claw, preparing for a final, fatal strike. It moves faster than I can intercept. I will not make it in time. In that split second, all my pride, my ambition, my title as king, it all burns away to nothing. All that is left is the primal, undeniable truth. I cannot live in a world without her in it. My beast and I are in perfect, absolute agreement. Protect, mate. With a roar that is torn from the deepest part of my soul, I abandon my own fight and launch myself toward her. I don't think. I just act. I throw my body in front of hers, positioning myself between her and the descending claw of shadow. The blow is not pain, it is anti-life. A wave of absolute cold and nothingness slams into my chest. It doesn't cut, it dissolves. The magic of it sears through my flesh, my muscle, my bone, aimed directly at the war beast within. It is an agony beyond description, a feeling of being unmade. I collapse, my strength gone. I fall to my knees at her feet, the world turning gray at the edges. I can feel my life force, my very wolf, being siphoned away by the dark magic clinging to the wound. Ilara screams my name. It is not the cold, detached voice of the witch. It is the raw, terrified cry of the woman, of my mate. She unleashes a wave of pure, enraged power that obliterates the Shadow Lord, turning it to a cloud of fading dust. The battle below falters as both sides feel the death of the enemy commander. But I barely register it. I am dying. I can feel it. I look up at her, my vision blurring. She is kneeling in front of me, her hands hovering over the gaping, smoking wound in my chest, tears streaming down her face. "Kaylin," she chokes out. "Hold on." I shake my head, a weak, clumsy movement. "It doesn't matter." I manage to rasp, my voice a wet, gurgling sound. "You live." This is my redemption, not in victory, but in sacrifice. To prove, in the only way left to me, that her life is more valuable than my own. With the last of my strength, I force myself into a position of ultimate submission. I lower my head and expose the arch of my throat. It is the deepest apology a wolf can give, an offering of my life, freely and completely. "I am sorry, Ilara," I whisper, my lifeblood pooling on the stones beneath me. "For everything." I close my eyes, ready for the end. I have proven my change. I have paid for my sins. The choice is now hers. Her tears fall onto my face, hot against my rapidly cooling skin. I feel her trembling hands cup my jaw, lifting my head. My golden eyes meet her tear-filled violet ones. The warrior is gone. The witch is gone. All that remains is the woman, my mate, her heart breaking before me. Seeing my sacrifice, feeling the absolute truth of my remorse pulsing from me in my dying moments. Her resolve finally shatters. The walls she built so high and so strong come crumbling down. Her inner beast, the silent ancient Selene, joins the chorus of my own fading wolf. Ours. Protect, heal, claim. "No," she whispers, her voice fierce and trembling with emotion. "You don't get to die. You don't get to leave me again." She leans down, her lips hovering just over mine. The scent of lilies and starlight fills my fading senses. The world narrows to her face, to her eyes, to the choice she is about to make. She is not choosing out of desperation or loneliness. She is choosing from a position of absolute power, the power to let me die or to bind her soul to mine forever. She makes her choice. I, Ilara of the lunar blood, accept you, Kaylin of the war beast, as my mate. Her words are not a plea. They are a declaration, an act of sovereign power. She presses her lips to mine, and the world explodes. It is not a gentle joining. It is a fusion, a violent and glorious collision of sun and moon, of earth and sky. The shattered, frayed ends of our bond don't just reconnect. They weave themselves together with threads of silver and gold, of shadow and light. Power, pure and overwhelming, floods from her into me. Her lunar magic, the cold fire of the moon, pours into the gaping wound in my chest. It fights back the encroaching darkness, cauterizing the damage not with heat, but with incandescent light. The bond heals, but it is not a smooth, pristine thing. It is a tapestry of scars, a roadmap of our pain and our journey. I can feel her humiliation, her loneliness, her rage, and she can feel my regret, my self-loathing, my agonizing punishment. All of it is now part of us, woven into the very fabric of our souls. We are not erasing the past. We are accepting it, absorbing it, making it the foundation of what we are now. My strength returns in a tidal wave. The wound on my chest closes, leaving behind a swirling silver scar that seems to hold the light of a distant star. My war beast, dying only moments ago, surges back to life, infused with her celestial energy. He is stronger than before, his rage tempered by her calm, his ferocity guided by her wisdom. We rise together, two halves of a whole made stronger by the breaking. I look at her, and she looks at me. There are no more words needed. We are one. The remaining Shadow Weavers, leaderless and confused, are now just prey. We move as one entity. My raw physical power, amplified by her magic, is a terrifying force. I am the storm, she is the lightning that strikes at its heart. We descend from the battlements and sweep through the battlefield, a united force of nature and cosmos. The enemy that had brought my kingdom to its knees is decimated in minutes. We are vengeance. We are resolution. When the last shadow dissolves into dust, a profound silence falls over the battlefield. The sun begins to rise, its gentle pink and gold light washing over the carnage. My warriors, battered and bleeding, stare at us with expressions of pure, unadulterated awe. They are not just looking at their king, they are looking at their king and their queen, a power couple forged in fire and moonlight. In the days that follow, a new order is established. I stand before my court, before all the assembled packs with Alara by my side. Her hand is in mine. The completed bond between us is a palpable presence in the room, a low thrum of immense power that commands absolute respect. You know her as the Lunar Witch, I say, my voice ringing with a new, calmer authority. You know that she saved this city. What you do not know is that she is my mate, the mate I foolishly and arrogantly rejected 2 years ago. A wave of gasps and murmurs sweeps the room. I let them stare. I let them see the truth. My weakness and pride nearly cost this kingdom everything, I continue, my gaze locked with Alara's. Her strength and grace have saved it. She is not my Luna by my decree. She is the lunar matriarch, my equal in all things. We will rule together. Her word is my word. Her law is my law. This kingdom no longer has one sovereign, but two. It is a declaration that shifts the foundations of our society, but no one dares to argue. They saw her power. They feel our bond. They know this is the only way forward. My rule is no longer absolute. It is a partnership, and my kingdom is infinitely stronger for it. 3 months later, we stand on that same balcony where I once begged for her help. The city below is peaceful, rebuilding. The blighted lands to the north are already beginning to heal under her gentle influence. The scar on my chest is a constant reminder, a silver starburst just over my heart. It aches sometimes, a phantom echo of the shadow's touch. Ela reaches out and traces its edge with her fingers. Her touch sends a jolt of warmth and light through me. There is a matching mark on her own chest, an invisible one, where the pain of my rejection once burned a hole in her soul. We are both scarred. The memory of the pain is part of our love story, the price we paid for this profound peace. Is he behaving today? She asks, her voice a low murmur against my shoulder. She means my war beast. I chuckle, pulling her closer. He is content. He spends most of his time purring like a kitten. I nuzzle her neck, inhaling her scent. Lilies and starlight, forever my home. He says you have tamed him. I have not tamed him, she corrects softly, leaning into my embrace. I have given him balance. just as you have given me an anchor to this world. She is right. Her celestial power could easily untether her from the earth, but my raw physical presence keeps her grounded, and my savage beast, once a creature of pure rage, is now tempered by her serene strength. We are not perfect. We are a king who learned humility and a queen who learned to rule. We are earned. We are scarred. But standing here, with the scent of pine and winter storm forever mingled with lilies and starlight, we are finally, irrevocably whole.